All right, so good evening, everyone. I believe our week has been great. Okay, can you confirm you can see my screen?
Your network is kind of bad because your voice is slow a little bit, but we can't see your screen yet. I don't know. Others, can you see? Okay, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay.
It's coming up.
All right, maybe let me just switch my network and see if
Okay,
it will be better.
okay.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. Good.
Okay. Then can you see my screen yet?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. Okay, thanks. All right, so good evening, everyone. I believe our week has been great. Um, yeah, so we are just going to continue from where we stopped last week. So we started this about 2 weeks ago, and we've had the first series and the second, and this will be the third. And hopefully we should be able to complete the power apps aspect today. So once we round that off, then if we have a little time, we can maybe start off the power automate aspect, or um, start that off next week. So basically, we have we started with creation of an expense request application. For organizations where you can go and make requests within for maybe a certain amount and all of that. Yeah, so we've been able to, create a list. That was 2 weeks ago, where we set up our lists, which is a SharePoint list. Um, and currently we have done a few things on our Power Apps as well, creating like a login screen, having all our fields, a form that has the fields, you know, all together here, all the fields that we need to fill in. Then we also have our success screen, which is when I submit, yeah, there needs to be something that shows me that yes, my request has been successfully submitted. So we've been able to achieve that. So last week, we were able to do a few things on this section, like the employee name, making the name automatically pick the user's name, right? And also disabling this field such that the user is unable to make modification to this. Um, we are also able to make this pick the default date. And as you can see, this is currently picking today's date without the user having to manually. So, but this is editable in case where the date of expense is not today. Of course, you could select a previous or a future date. I think we're also able to um, create a field whereby when we select um, so we had a field. Okay. Yeah, so we have the expense type field whereby when you select a vendor, this customer name shows up, and if I select any other type of expense, of course, I can't find that field anymore. So that as well. So I think those are the major things we were able to achieve last week. So I think the few things we just need to do here on our app is getting just doing some finishing touches, like having a few another screen where we can see the list of requests I've submitted, so I can always reference them at every point in time. So that's basically one of the things we are going to be doing today. Then on this screen, as you can see, if I log in, for example, there's no way for me to go back to this particular screen with what I have here currently. So let's say I want to go back to the login screen. We need to have something that takes us back, and we can easily switch from one screen to the other. So I think those are the few things that are kind of left on this app. But I also like to get our opinions if there are things we feel we should add. So if we have some time to accommodate it, of course, we can always do that within this period. Yes. So starting from this part, we have this screen currently, like I mentioned. Now we need to have something that takes us back to the screen, so we can insert say an icon. So we have icons here, right? So there are a list of different icons. I know there are a few ones that were added recently.
Sorry to cut you
Yes.
short, Babatunde.
All
So
right.
I don't know if I don't know if it's just me, but I can't see your screen.
Oh, can every other person see? Can anyone else confirm they can see my screen?
No, I can't see your screen.
Oh, wow. Let me reshare then. Okay, how about now?
Yes, I can see it
Yes,
now.
I can see.
Oh, apologies about that. Yeah, so we are starting from here. We have the login screen. Then we have this particular screen where we have our form, right? So one of the things we want to do here is to have like a back button that takes us, when you're on an app, of course, when you're able to move forward, there's a way to always navigate back to the screen you are coming from. So we need to have something like that on this app, right? So that's one of the things we are going to be starting with, and which is very simple. So we have this inserts, going to back to our insert tab. We have the icons, and there are lots of different icons that are available by default here. There are a few that were just added here recently. So I will just choose one of these. So you could select maybe the left arrow, and you can just drag and drop it here, change the color to say white, right? So this kind of looks more like it now, but I'm clicking now, but there is no action yet because we need to define what this back button should do. So we need to tell it, give it instructions to say, when I click on it, then take me back to the previous screen. So let's go to our on select. So on select, so I believe someone should be able to tell us, based on what we've done in the last 2 weeks. I believe we should be able to someone should be able to tell me what we should put as this formula here now. So anyone? So what we want this to do is, when we click on this arrow button, it should take us back to screen 1, which is our home screen.
Yeah, we use the back. I think we use the back function.
Okay. Which is correct. So we have a back function. Even though personally I'm not the back function, but okay. So like I mentioned, even though I'm not really a fan of the back function, most times I prefer to use the navigate. But of course, this will also work for what we are doing. So one of the reasons is okay. So the back function basically is to take you to a previous screen. So if I click on login and I click on back, you can see that it takes me back to this screen. So irrespective of any screen I'm coming from, then my back is able to take me back to, that specific screen, so which works. So another way we can do it is to also use our navigate, just the same way we have navigate here to navigate to screen 2. We could as well tell it to, navigate back to screen 1, so which also works. Okay, so let's just quickly rename this screen. Let's call this our home screen. Let's call this our new form screen. So which is fine. Right. So I think we are kind of good on this side for now. One thing we want to also do is to have another screen. So this screen is to help us. So when you have a list of requests you submitted. So say I request for an expense today, I request another one next week. So maybe I've made several requests during the year. There might be need to reference all the requests I've made earlier, right? So it's important to also have a field, a view rather, for the user to see the request, the history of those requests. So which is why we are creating this screen. So on this screen now, what we can do is to have a gallery, right? So I'm not sure if we've talked about gallery yet. So galleries are they are used in Power Apps to display records from your data source. So you have a list of records from your data source. So let's say I already have items that I've submitted to the list, and I want to display all of them. So just similar to our galleries on our phone, right? When you go to your gallery, you can see the list of different pictures you've taken with your phone. So once you take another picture, you are not the one who moves it to gallery. So the gallery automatically picks those data. So similar to what we have on Power Apps. So when I click when I insert a gallery, right? From this gallery, I can see the list of all my records. So like I mentioned, now we want to see records that I have of previous requests that I've made. So here I don't need to have to start manually inserting every record each time I make any request. So this gallery automatically goes to my data source, fetch all the records that I've defined, and displays them. So here we will just change our we can change the layout to this. So depending on how you want your records to be displayed and what you are trying to achieve, there are different types of layouts, and we can also see we also have vertical, horizontal, and the likes. So I'll just change my data source now to my lists, so which is the expense request. And you can see it automatically picked what I had on my data source. So if we go back here, we can see that these are the two records that we have, and those two are currently displayed on this my gallery. So it's displaying the title, the employee name, and the customer name. So I can always change all of this information that I want to be displayed. So let's say I want to change this from instead of customer name, I want to put the amount. So I can change this to amount. So we can see that it's now displaying the amount for that I have on this my records here. So if I submit a new one now, let's go back and submit a new one. We'll see that it automatically should be added to our gallery. So and let me submit. So once I've submitted, If we go back to our gallery now, we can see that this has now been automatically shows up here. So for each record I insert, anytime I come back to my gallery, it's automatically added to my gallery. All right. I hope that makes some sense.
Yes.
All right. Thanks. Okay, so we can as well just copy. So let's say I want to just copy this heading. So rather than having to create a new one, I can just copy using Ctrl+Z and Ctrl+V, or by clicking copy and coming here to paste. So that will save me some time. So I can just call it my requests. My requests. So this back as well, and I want it to also take me to my home screen. So if okay, so what we will then do, instead of having a login here, we can change this to new request, and also have something that shows my requests, right? So we have new request, my request. So my request now should navigate to, currently I have it named screen 1. So we'll change that as well. Let's change it to, so, and the good thing is you can see that it's currently screen 1 here. Once I rename this screen, it automatically comes here to change that name, so I don't have to manually come here to change this as well. So if I rename this to a request screen, right, if I go back to this, you can see that it's automatically changed this to my request screen. So if I also go to my requests and I go back, I go to new request, it takes me to this side, and I go back. So which is making sense. Right. So one thing you might also want to do is, so we have this my requests currently. I also want to, this history, this gallery, it isn't showing all the details of the form. So for example, we don't have the customer name, we don't have the currency, date of expense, manager name, and the likes, right? We don't currently have them here. So you might decide to put everything on the gallery. So say I want to insert everything, I can. So these are labels inside this my gallery. I have this icon. I can still decide to insert more labels, right? If I need to display more information. So if I insert a different label, I can. So this one now is picking the customer name, and I can change it to, so this function, this item is available in gallery to say, so for the particular, because each of these are on the gallery are items, right? So which means for this item, I want to show the different. So if I click on dots, you see that I can see the different columns that exist on the list. So some of these are default columns on SharePoint, while some of them are the ones we created as well. So you can reference any of these columns that you have on the list or your data source and show it as this item. So which means on each row, it will be showing the value for that particular column that you are referencing. So if I go to reference, let me see which one we can pick. Okay, currency. So we can use currency dot value. So this will be dot value because this is a choice field. So if it was just a single line of text, then this item does currency works, like in the case of this amount. But when you have a choice field, you need to add dot value because it's a complex field. So we can see now that I can also display the currency. So I can decide to add as many or all my columns if I don't have much columns, but it might not really look very proper if I'm having several fields. So imagine that I have about 20, 30 fields columns on my list, right? I don't want to start displaying all those columns here. So which means one item might already take the whole of my screen if I have to do that. So one thing we can do is to have this gallery. So let me just remove and then from this arrow button, or when I select any of the items, it could take me to a screen where I can preview all the other information about this record that I selected. So just like I have it on this form, so I can see the title, the employee name, and every other information about that particular request. So I would also, okay, so what we can do is just to save time, we can duplicate this screen. So if you have a screen that has, a lot of information that you need to reuse, rather than having to create it from scratch, there is an option to also duplicate screen. So when I click on this, I can see if I want to move it up or move it down, or copy or paste something I've copied in this screen, or delete the screen, right? So what I want to do here is duplicate screen. So I have duplicated the screen. So that should take a few seconds, and everything I have currently here should be duplicated. So this is new form screen 1, which is the duplicated screen, and I can see that it has exact thing that I have, on this my new form screen. So let me name this view form screen. So this will just be a view only. So it's just for me to be able to view any request that I've selected from this my requests, right? So view form screen. So I can change this to, instead of the new form, I can change it to view. So like I mentioned that we have different default mode: new when you are submitting a new request, edit when you want to edit an existing request, and view if you just want to make the form view only, right? So here what I would just say is, so when I have this view form, I can go to there is a property on the form called item. So this item will tell you which particular item, of course, because you can have several items on your list. So there has to be something that speaks to this form as to which of the item should be displayed per time, right? So which is why we have this item property. So this item property here, we'll call it so this gallery is called gallery 1. So we'll call this gallery 1 because we want it to show the item we are selecting on our gallery, right? So, and you can see it's already showing me. So if I go here, so let me change this. Okay, so of course, from here, we want it to also navigate from here. When I click on any of the items, I want it to take me to this view form screen. So on my gallery, I will also change the onSelect property. So let's also change it to navigate to view form screen. So let's select any of the items now and see what happens. So I've selected it, so we can see that it took me to this particular item, and I can see other information like the title, the employee name, the expense type, currency, and co. If I go back and select a new one, new request, so it's also showing me that details of the request that I've selected, and I can see all of that information right here. Okay, so that is how to also display information about a particular record. So additional things you want to also do here is, so as time goes on, you might start having lots of requests, right? So if it's a request that you make daily, or if it's an app that is being used daily and you stayed in the organization for years, or maybe you are even like you are building this for like an admin who is supposed to see the history of all the requests on your list, right? So there might be need for you, the person, if the record starts growing, the person has to now start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to get a certain record. So to avoid that, of course, just like on our apps, when you are probably searching for, when you need to look for a contact, you don't have to start scrolling to A, B, C, D. You can just type in, let's say I'm searching for David's contact now. I can just search for David. By typing DAV, it automatically brings me everybody that has that kind of string in their name. So we can also do similar things for our gallery here. So one of the things we'll first do is to insert a search box. So here now we have a text, you can insert the text inputs. So we call this, I can put it this way. So the default property, I don't want anything here, so I can clear it. So the default is when I first open this, what's the text that should be here by default? And I don't want anything to be here, right? I just want it to be blank. Then I can clear this text input, right? And I can see that it's blank. But I'm sure we've also seen search boxes that would have some kind of placeholders to let you know that, okay, this is a search box. Okay, you can search for something and all of that. So that placeholder functionality also exists on Power Apps, and it's on this int text. You see the right here, you have this int text, or you can as well select here to see the property called int text. So which means what kind of text what int should we give to the user about what this box is for. So I can say search. So this search that I'm putting is not the default, it's different from the default property, in the sense that the default is what will be in the text that will be in the text by default. Why the int text is just an int, it's just a placeholder, not a text per se. So if I come here and I search, so you can see that search goes away. If I clear now and I don't have anything, it shows me that search. So once I click on this, then I can type in my text. So the search is not really a text, but a placeholder to inform the user that you can use this box to search, right? So that is what that is for. And we can also go ahead to include a search box to also make it look more informative to the user, so that when you see this icon, you know that yes, this is something that tells me that I'm searching, right? So which is fine. So one of from here now, we now need to say, okay, maybe I want to be searching by the title of my request. So for example, if I type here now, whatever I'm typing does not take any effect yet. So I need to put some certain conditions on my gallery to make it know that it should search for whatever I have typed in here. So we'll select our gallery again. So on our gallery, on the items property, so what we have here is display everything from this my lists, which is my expense request list, right? So which means this will just display all the records. If you have 1,000 records, to just display everything, and I can keep scrolling down. But I don't want it to display everything. I want it to display based on my whatever I've searched in this box. So what I'll do here is modify this items property. So there's a function on Power Apps called filter. So filter will allow you to filter a data source or set of records. So I change this to filter my expense request. So it filters this list. Then the second parameter I will pass is the logical test, which is the condition, right? So what are you really filtering? What are you trying to filter based on? So what I want to filter with is this search box. So I'll get the name of this search box, the name of this control, which is text input 1. So you can just click on this and copy it from this guy. So I want it to say when this starts with. So start with is another function that allows you to filter based on when, or check a condition if it starts with a particular text, right? So I'll say start with text input one dot text, then the column is title, and I close this and close this. Okay, I think it should be the other way around. Yeah, so title first, the column I want to check yep. So I think this should work. So let's try this just to be sure it works. So you can see that once I start typing expense, it shows me every record that has that starts with exp. So if I clear this, right, I can see if I search with test again, I can see test 2. If I search with new request, so this is only showing because only one record, because that's the only one that starts with this. So if I have another record that starts with NEW or TST, then it will also show all of those records. So which is what our start with works for. So it's saying if you filter this record or this gallery, which is the data source, when the column when this starts with when the title, which is the column we are filtering with. So I'm searching with the title now. I can decide to also search by the employee name or by the expense type or any of the columns that I have. But I'm choosing title and I'm choosing what field do I want it to check from. So which is this column or which is this control, this search box, which is text input one dot text, which means the text inside this particular control is what you should search with. So that is that. Then the next thing we want to also do to this our items property while we are still on it is I mentioned that this is supposed to show my requests. So currently this shows every request that I have on my form, right? On my list rather. So I only wanted to show every record that has been submitted by me, not for everyone. So in that case, I need to put some additional conditions here. So I'll say when this starts with this, and so one thing we can set, use to identify each person's record is this employee name column, right? So this employee name column shows that, yes, this is the name of the employee that submitted this request. So I only wanted to show every record where I was the one that submitted it, right? So if I go back here and I put and the employee name, which is the column I wanted to also check with, employee name. So employee name is a person's field. If you remember when we created this is a person field, and I mentioned it's a complex field where you can get different attributes about the user, like the display name, the email, the picture, the department, and co. Right. So what we want to do is say employee name dot email. So we can decide which of the attributes we want to use. So if let me clear this dot email. So we can see that claims, department, display name, email, job title, picture, and code. So I prefer to use the email because that is always unique. Then we can't have two people with the same email in an organization, right? We can have people with the same department or the same job title or even the same display name in a large organization, right? So, but email is always unique. So this is why email is always preferable. So if I go back to this guy, so remember we set my profile, which is getting different uh, information about any user that is currently logged on. So this my profile as well can pick different information about you. So my profile, so we are using a connector. If you remember, we have this of 365 users. So we just set this as a variable so that we don't have to start calling and writing this long thing all every time. So this my profile variable just saves us a lot of back and forth writing this, all of this. So this will just pick my profile dots. So my profile also has different attributes like company name, country, department, display name, job title, and a lot of other information. So the one we need is the mail. So we have the my profile.mail. and let's close this brackets. So what this means is check for this, go to this list, expense request, and check where any of the record starts with, any of the record and the title column of that record starts with whatever I type in my this text box, which is test input.1, and the name of the employee, which is the employee name column, is equal to my profile.mail. And my profile is a variable we have set to get the information about whichever user is logged in. So if I log in with another account now, it will automatically pick my name, my email, and all of that. So it will check where my profile email, the email of the employee is the same as the email of the user that is currently logged in. So currently we have all of the records submitted by this account. So let me just go to the backend and make some modification. I will see what happens. So here now, I'll just change the employee name to myself rather than this account. So let me change it now. Let's see what difference that will make. So let me save this and go back to my data to refresh my data source. So we can see that after refreshing our data source, we only have 2 records. Meanwhile, on our list, we still have our 3 records intact. It wasn't as if it was deleted, but on this form, we can only see 2. That is because we have told it to only filter items that are submitted by or where the email and the name of the employee is the same as the user that is currently logged in. So it checks this employee name email and checks it against the email of my the user that is currently logged in, and it says that this is not the same email. So with that, it doesn't display this record. So that is how to do a filtering as such. So if we go back here, okay, so let me go back to my new requests. So new requests, okay, I go back, go to my requests, I can see all the requests. So from here as well, I can still search and say test, and I can select any of the requests, view the information about that request, and go back and go back. So yes, this is now fine. So I don't know if anybody has any questions so far, because I think I just been doing some talking all the while. Or if you have any, while we're rounding up the building of the app, if you have any areas of clarification or suggestions as to what you think we can do to make the app better, so we can just close the chapter of the app and move to Power Automate probably by next week. So I would like to hear from us what we think. I hope I'm still audible. Hello.
Can hear you.
Okay. Yes. So I was just saying, the app is like literally ready. So I just wanted to get more robust app. Or if there are basic things that we first add, within the little time we have to, or maybe you have any areas of clarifications as to what I've explained so far, or of the series, because I want us to round up this part so we can move to the Power Automate section by next week. So basically what we have currently is we have a new request form where we can fill in our requests and submit. We also have my request where we can see the list of requests that each user has submitted, and we can preview the requests. We can go back and search also for specific items in case where you have several records. So I'm saying with what we have so far, this sort of works for now, but I don't know if there are any observations, any additions of what we think we should just add to the app, or if you have any idea of, okay, this is an expense request, this and these are the things that are supposed to be in place. So I would just like to get our feedback or suggestions around those things. So if time permits us, we can just maybe quickly make those changes and additions if possible.
Yeah, for me, you have done a wonderful job. At least there's nothing to add from my end.
Okay, thank you. Any other person? Okay. Yeah, so I think one of the things that might be missing is the yeah, of course, this our own page looks quite odd, but I think I was just trying to make some few changes so we can see that yes, we can actually make designs on our app. So you can see that we have red color, we have yellow, we have blue, which does not really fit in. So of course we can always go back to change these colors. You can change the background color of the screen, back to white if I want, right? And so I can do a lot of design. I'm not very good with design naturally, so you might just need to manage my little design that I have here. But of course, it's very much possible to, and because of time as well, there are a lot of things that we could still do, but because of time, we might not be able to do all of that. So, but just to for us to get the concept that yes, these and these are possible. So I can decide to change the color, do any of my my designs, and any almost any kind of design that I want on my app. So if you've seen maybe it could be a custom application on maybe your Android or iOS, and you want to replicate it on perhaps, it's also most likely possible to do some of those things. So you can just look at an app. So if you are someone that is very good with design, you can come and make changes and see how possible it is to also achieve those things um on our app. So I think with this we are sort of done. Okay, so on our view requests, we might just want to remove this submit button though, because we are just viewing and not submitting. So yeah, so we can also change this from new request to view requests. Right. Okay. So I mean with this, okay. Quick tip that I might want to give is on this gallery. So you might want to give some sort of um, uh, to know which item is currently selected. So one of the things I do is this. So if I go to, so there's a function called template view. So let's say I want to make the background a different color when for the item that is currently selected or highlighted. So I can change that and say, I'll just put an if condition. So if this item dot okay, this item dot is selected, and what color do I want it to be? If it's not the one selected, what color do I want it to be? So say I want to make this blue. Okay, so let me close this. So we can see that it's currently highlighting the one that I've selected. So if I select a different one, it also highlights down. So which means this one is the one that is currently selected. So that kind of helps you identify which items specifically are you selecting. So this blue looks quite too dark. Let me see if there is a better. Let's use gray. Then we can as well do the same for the texts. So we can multi-select by using control button and highlight the different icons. So say when it's the one selected, I want it to also be white. So I can also do the same to the color property and say if this item dot is selected, then it should be white, else it should be black. So with this now, you can see that the color of this one is different from this. So the text is white while this one is selected, and this one is currently black. If I select this one as well, it changes to white while the other is black. So that's another trick you can add to your gallery. So I think with this, at least for now, we are done with our app on Power Apps. So maybe as time goes on, there might be need to make some few adjustments later on, because of course, when you are working on an app, you are not expected to get everything. You might not have all of the concepts right at the first time. So that's one thing we should always note. So when you are building your app, you might not have all the concepts. So that's why you see the likes of all the top companies, Twitter, Facebook, and the likes. The same app we are using, they keep releasing updates like every time. So that's because you can't get everything right the first time. So there will always be need to add additional features, improvements, and all of that. So which is why I said we might still have to maybe come back to make some few adjustments to this if need be while we are working on our flow. So we might see a reason to add some additional. I'm very certain. So I don't want to put those things yet because it might not make much sense if we don't have our flow yet. So once we start with the Power Automate part next week, some of those things will become clearer, and we'll just come back here to make those adjustments as well. So I think with this, we are done for the class today. So I would like to welcome any questions or contributions, observations, subtractions. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you very much. Thank you, Tunde. So any questions? Any questions? Any questions? So, and I want to even ask, has anybody tried to build this application? Anybody? Has anybody tried to build the application? Has anybody tried to build this app? And I always send email of the past recorded ones that we've done. If you know that you don't have your email, please just call it out now so I can add it to the database. I always send the previous recordings so that people can watch it and can learn. So has anybody built it? Let us know. Or if you have questions for Babatunde, please kindly ask.
Okay, yeah, and just to add to what David said, yeah, I think it's quite important that we get hands-on with some of these things. So the best way to really learn these things is when you actually try them out. Of course, you make mistakes, you get errors, then while resolving it, you learn better. Because when you see some of these things, you might feel, yes, I understand it, but when time comes for you to build it, then you might start experiencing issues and trying to figure out where the problem could be. But when you try out these things on your own while you are watching it, then it kind of sticks. So with that, you will see what errors you are making, how to correct them, and all that. So it's always important that we try as much as possible to get hands-on with some of these things. So I think that's a very good observation from David. Thank you.
Thank you, Tunde. So anybody? Awe Paul, Mayowa, Adeyinka, any point?
For me, no question. He has done a good job.
Okay, thank you very much.
No
Adeyinka?
question for me, sir. It's
Okay.
quite understandable.
Oh, thank you, Mayowa. Adeyinka, I can hear your baby. Tell her hi.
Okay, thank you. He wants to participate too.
Okay. So, thank you very much. I'm going to still load this recording also, and I'm going to send it by email to everybody for them to have. So for those who are present or absent, you can always see it. We have a YouTube channel that you can always just go back and watch them over and over again. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Tunde. Tunde, what is the next thing we want to do in this app now?
Yes, so once we are done with we are basically done with the Power Apps, like I mentioned. So of course, this is Power Platform. So the next step we are going to be taking now is the Power Automate part of this. So yes, we've been able to create a new request. We can see that we can submit our request, fill in every information and submit. And we can see that yes, it's submitting to our SharePoint list. So basically, what we've been doing so far has to do with our Power Apps as well as our SharePoint list, right?
Okay.
So now, when all of this does not make full sense yet, yes, if you just want to be able to submit the request and make it store somewhere, yes, then this is fine. But of course, that's not what we are trying to achieve at the end of the day.
Sure.
At the end of the day, we want it to be able to say, okay, when I submit a new request, it should send me a notification, just like when you go to a platform or something to register. You get notified that you are successfully being registered. You get a notification immediately in your email. So those emails you get are not being sent manually. So all of those has been automated already. So something like that, whereby when I submit my request, somebody should notify me in my email to say, yes, your social request has been submitted. Then my manager, so we have a section where we are putting the name of our managers here, right? The manager should also get notified to say, yes, this request has been, this social person has submitted a request and it's pending your approval. So kindly approve or reject this request. Then when it gets to the manager can decide to, approve the request or reject it, or maybe even return it for you to, make modification and all of that. So with that, so all of that now needs to come from the Power Automate, whereby, so we need to now put all the business processes and everything in place, so depending on the way it works, we are the one that will determine how we want it to work. So when it gets to my manager, should my managers be able to approve and reject? When he rejects, what should happen? So when he approves, what should happen? So when he approves now, maybe I need to get an email to know, or maybe an email even needs to go to maybe the finance team and notify them that yes, finance, Mr. A submitted a request, Mr. B, who is the manager, has approved it, so kindly treat this. Then the finance team can confirm that okay, it has been treated, the money has been sent, and when it sends, then you also get notified that yes, your request has been treated, it has been approved by your manager, and it has been treated. Or if it was rejected, the manager could as well put a comment to say, okay, I'm rejecting this because of so reason. Exactly. So with that, he can also get the initiator can also get notified to say, yes, this was the reason your request was rejected. So maybe you need to reinitiate a new request and put some additional information or valid reasons why you need, the money or something like that. So that's one of the things we are going to, start with next week. So we are going to be seeing the Power Automate aspects and see how we can do all of this automation step by step.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So I can't wait for next week. Okay. So thank you, everybody. We're going to see next week and see how we're going to improve on this. Thank you very much, Babatunde. Thank you,
All
everybody,
right.
for
Yeah,
coming in.
thanks everyone.